Welcome! Today, we're diving into the concept of a month-to-month lease. If you've ever rented an apartment or a house, you might have come across this term. But what exactly does it mean? In simple terms, a month-to-month lease is a rental agreement that renews automatically every month until either the landlord or the tenant decides to end it. Unlike a traditional lease, which usually lasts for a fixed period like a year, this type of lease offers more flexibility for both parties. Let's explore how it works, its benefits, and what you should consider before signing one. A month-to-month lease is a legal agreement between a landlord and a tenant that allows the tenant to rent a property on a monthly basis. This means the lease automatically renews at the end of each month unless either party gives proper notice to terminate. Typically, the notice period is 30 days, but it can vary depending on local laws or the terms of the agreement. This arrangement is ideal for people who need flexibility, such as those who might move for work or are unsure about their long-term plans. Now, let's look at how this lease differs from a fixed-term lease. The main difference between a month-to-month lease and a fixed-term lease lies in the duration and flexibility. A fixed-term lease binds both the landlord and tenant for a set period, usually 6 months or a year. Breaking it early often comes with penalties. In contrast, a month-to-month lease continues indefinitely, renewing each month, and can be ended with proper notice. This flexibility can be a huge advantage for tenants who might need to relocate quickly or landlords who want the option to make changes to the property or rent. With a month-to-month lease, renewal is automatic. At the end of each month, the lease simply continues into the next month, unless someone gives notice to stop. This means you don't have to sign a new contract every month. Both the landlord and tenant have the right to end the lease, usually with a 30-day written notice. This rolling renewal process is what makes month-to-month leases so flexible and appealing for many renters and property owners. One of the key features of a month-to-month lease is the notice requirement. Either the landlord or the tenant can end the lease, but they must provide advance notice, typically 30 days. This gives both parties time to make new arrangements, whether that's finding a new tenant or a new place to live. Some states or cities may have different rules, so it's important to check local regulations or the lease agreement itself for specific notice periods. Month-to-month leases are especially popular among tenants who value flexibility. If you're unsure about your future plans, or if you might need to move for work or personal reasons, this type of lease allows you to do so without being locked into a long-term contract. You can give notice and move out at the end of any month, making it easier to adapt to changing circumstances. Landlords also benefit from the flexibility of month-to-month leases. If they want to sell the property, renovate, or change rental terms, they can do so by giving proper notice to the tenant. This arrangement allows landlords to respond quickly to market changes or personal needs, making it a practical choice for many property owners. While month-to-month leases offer flexibility, they also come with some drawbacks. For tenants, there's less security since the landlord can end the lease with notice. For landlords, there's the risk of frequent tenant turnover, which can mean more time and money spent finding new renters. It's important to weigh these factors before choosing a month-to-month lease. Another aspect to consider is rent changes. In a month-to-month lease, landlords can usually increase the rent with proper notice, often 30 days. This means your rent could go up more frequently than with a fixed-term lease. Tenants should be aware of this possibility and check their lease agreement for details about how and when rent can be changed. Security deposits work similarly in month-to-month leases as they do in fixed-term leases. Tenants usually pay a deposit at the start of the lease, which is held by the landlord to cover any damages or unpaid rent. When the lease ends, the deposit is returned, minus any deductions for repairs or cleaning. Always read your lease to understand the terms regarding deposits. Month-to-month leases are commonly used in situations where flexibility is needed. For example, if a tenant is waiting for a new home to be built or is on a temporary work assignment, this type of lease is ideal. Landlords may also use month-to-month leases when they plan to sell or renovate the property soon. It's a practical solution for short-term or uncertain housing needs. Sometimes, a fixed-term lease automatically converts to a month-to-month lease when it expires, unless a new agreement is signed. This is common in many rental markets. It allows tenants to stay in the property without committing to another long-term contract, while giving landlords the flexibility to adjust terms or end the lease with notice. It's important to understand the legal aspects of month-to-month leases. Local laws may dictate notice periods, rent increase limits, and other terms. Both landlords and tenants should familiarize themselves with these regulations to avoid misunderstandings or legal issues. Always read the lease agreement carefully and consult a legal professional if you have questions. To end a month-to-month lease, either the landlord or the tenant must give proper notice, usually in writing. The notice period is typically 30 days, but it can be longer or shorter depending on local laws or the lease agreement. Once notice is given, The lease ends at the end of the next rental period, and the tenant must move out or the landlord must stop renting the property. While some month-to-month leases are verbal, it's always best to have a written agreement. A written lease clearly outlines the terms, including rent, notice periods, and responsibilities. This helps prevent misunderstandings and provides legal protection for both parties. If you're considering a month-to-month lease, ask for everything in writing. Tenants in a month-to-month lease have similar responsibilities as those in fixed-term leases. They must pay rent on time, keep the property clean, and follow the rules set out in the lease. If they want to move out, they need to give proper notice. Fulfilling these responsibilities helps maintain a good relationship with the landlord and ensures a smooth transition when leaving. Landlords also have important responsibilities. They must maintain the property, make necessary repairs, and respect the tenant's rights. If they want to end the lease or change the terms, they must provide proper notice. Good communication and clear agreements help avoid conflicts and create a positive rental experience for everyone involved. Rent for a month-to-month lease is usually paid monthly, just like in a fixed-term lease. Payment methods can include checks, bank transfers, or online payment platforms, depending on what's agreed upon in the lease. Always keep records of your payments and confirm the payment method with your landlord to avoid any confusion. Utilities and other costs, such as water, electricity, and internet, are usually outlined in the lease agreement. Sometimes these are included in the rent, but often tenants are responsible for paying them separately. Make sure you understand which costs you're responsible for before signing a month-to-month lease. Some month-to-month leases allow tenants to sublet the property, while others do not. Subletting means renting the property to someone else, while you're still responsible for the lease. Always check your lease agreement and get written permission from the landlord before subletting to avoid any legal issues. Pet policies in month-to-month leases vary. Some landlords allow pets, while others do not. If you have a pet or plan to get one, make sure the lease clearly states the rules. There may be additional deposits or fees for having a pet. Always discuss pet policies before signing the lease to avoid surprises. Some month-to-month rentals come furnished, while others do not. The lease should specify what furniture and appliances are included. This can affect the rent amount and your moving plans. Always inspect the property and confirm what's included before agreeing to the lease. Renter's insurance is a good idea for anyone in a month-to-month lease. It protects your belongings in case of theft, fire, or other disasters. Some landlords may require proof of insurance before you move in. Check your lease and talk to your insurance provider to make sure you have the right coverage. Even though month-to-month leases renew automatically, you can negotiate new terms at any time. If you want to change the rent, add a roommate, or adjust other terms, talk to your landlord. Any changes should be put in writing and signed by both parties to avoid confusion later on. When you decide to move out of a month-to-month lease, give your landlord the required notice in writing. Clean the property, remove your belongings, and return the keys. The landlord will inspect the property and return your security deposit, minus any deductions for damages or cleaning. Following these steps helps ensure a smooth move-out process. Landlords may conduct inspections before, during, or after your tenancy. These inspections help ensure the property is well maintained and any issues are addressed. Tenants should be notified in advance of any inspections, and both parties should document the property's condition to avoid disputes. If repairs are needed during your lease, notify your landlord as soon as possible. The landlord is usually responsible for major repairs, while tenants handle minor maintenance. Clear communication and prompt reporting help keep the property in good condition and ensure everyone's rights are protected. Disagreements can happen in any rental situation. If you have a dispute with your landlord or tenant, try to resolve it through open communication first. If that doesn't work, check your lease for dispute resolution procedures or consider mediation. Knowing your rights and responsibilities can help prevent conflicts. Month-to-month tenants can be evicted if they violate the lease terms or fail to pay rent. However, landlords must follow legal procedures and provide proper notice. Tenants should understand their rights and seek legal help if they believe an eviction is unfair or unlawful. The popularity of month-to-month leases can change with the housing market. In competitive markets, landlords may prefer fixed-term leases for stability, while in slower markets, month-to-month leases attract more tenants. Understanding market trends can help you negotiate better terms or decide which lease type is right for you. Month-to-month leases are often popular with international tenants, such as students or professionals on temporary assignments. The flexibility allows them to adjust their housing as their plans change. If you're moving from another country, a month-to-month lease can be a great way to settle in before committing to a longer-term arrangement. Month-to-month leases are a good option for short-term rentals. If you only need a place for a few months, this arrangement lets you avoid long-term commitments. It's also useful for landlords who want to keep their options open for future plans or market changes. Some vacation rentals use month-to-month leases, especially for longer stays. This can be more affordable and flexible than booking by the week or night. If you're planning an extended vacation, ask about month-to-month options to save money and enjoy a more home-like experience. Businesses sometimes use month-to-month leases for corporate housing. This allows employees to stay near work sites for short periods without long-term commitments. It's a practical solution for companies with rotating staff or temporary projects. Month-to-month leases are common in student housing, especially near colleges and universities. Students often need flexible housing due to changing schedules, internships, or study abroad programs. This lease type makes it easier for students to adjust their living arrangements as needed. If you're sharing a rental with roommates, a month-to-month lease can make it easier to adjust living arrangements. Roommates can come and go with proper notice, and the lease can be updated as needed. Just be sure everyone understands their responsibilities and the process for adding or removing roommates. Unlike fixed-term leases, month-to-month leases usually don't have termination fees if you give proper notice. This makes it easier and less expensive to move out when you need to. However, always check your lease for any special terms or fees that might apply. Since month-to-month leases renew automatically, it's easy to forget about notice periods or upcoming changes. Set reminders for yourself to review your lease terms regularly and plan ahead if you're thinking about moving or renegotiating the lease. If you want to negotiate your rent in a month-to-month lease, talk to your landlord before the next renewal period. Be prepared to discuss market rates, your payment history, and any improvements you've made to the property. Negotiations are more successful when both parties are open and reasonable. Keep copies of all lease documents, notices, and communications with your landlord. Good record keeping helps protect your rights and provides evidence if there's ever a dispute. Store digital and paper copies in a safe place for easy access. Before signing a month-to-month lease, read all the terms carefully. Make sure you understand your rights, responsibilities, and any special conditions. If anything is unclear, ask for clarification or seek legal advice. Being informed helps you avoid surprises and ensures a positive rental experience. Let's define the core concept: a month-to-month lease. This is a rental agreement that continues from month to month without a set end date. Either party can end the lease with proper notice, usually 30 days. The main advantage is flexibility, but it also means less long-term security compared to fixed-term leases. Another important concept is the notice period. This is the amount of time required to inform the other party before ending the lease. For month-to-month leases, the notice period is typically 30 days. But it can vary. Understanding this concept is key to avoiding misunderstandings and planning your next move. Flexibility is at the heart of month-to-month leases. This concept means both tenants and landlords can adapt quickly to changing circumstances. Whether it's moving for a new job or making changes to the property, flexibility allows for easier transitions and less stress for everyone involved. In summary, a month-to-month lease is a flexible rental agreement that renews each month and can be ended by either party with proper notice. It's ideal for people who need short-term housing or want to avoid long-term commitments. However, it also comes with less stability and the possibility of rent changes. Always read your lease carefully, understand your rights and responsibilities, and communicate openly with your landlord or tenant. With the right approach, a month-to-month lease can be a convenient and practical housing solution.